Caleb Blackwell, dressed as Cleaner Cal, was pushing a mop cart through his mother's company when Vanessa Reed ordered him out of the Every Employee Matters camera shot, as if one cleaner could stain the campaign. His faded uniform, temporary badge, and B001 key tag made him look powerless. But he was the billionaire's son, testing the company in disguise. Leah Grant's choice would decide who should stand beside him. The lobby of Blackwell Legacy Group shone under camera lights. Above the glass doors, a banner read, "Every Employee Matters." Vanessa Reed stood beneath it with a tablet in one hand and a perfect smile ready for the lens. "Let's make this feel warm," Vanessa told the crew. "Human. Inclusive. Mrs. Blackwell needs to see that this company has a heart." The moment the camera lights switched off, her smile disappeared. Cal stopped near the edge of the lobby, one hand on the mop cart. His gray cleaner's shirt hung loose. His temporary badge was clipped to his pocket. The old brass key tag, marked B001, tapped softly against the cart. Vanessa noticed the cart first, then the uniform, then the keys. "You," she said, not loudly enough to sound cruel, but not gently enough to sound human. "Please don't stand there. We're shooting toward the elevators." Cal moved 2 steps back. "Farther," Vanessa said. "If that cart catches the reflection, the whole shot looks messy." The receptionist pretended to organize visitor badges. Cal kept his expression calm and rolled the cart behind a side column. "Of course," he said. His voice was steady, almost too steady, and Vanessa seemed to dislike that. She pointed at the B001 tag hanging from the utility keys. "And whatever that old thing is, keep it tucked away. We don't need random junk in a campaign about legacy." Cal looked down at the brass tag. For half a second, his thumb brushed the worn edge. "It stays with the keys," he said quietly. "Then keep the keys out of the shot." An older cleaner came through the service hallway carrying folded cloths. Her name badge read Nora Bell, though most people never looked long enough to read it. She slowed when she saw Vanessa standing over the new cleaner. "Cal," Mrs. Nora said gently, "supply closet is this way if you need more towels. Don't let the elevator crowd rush you." The way she said his name made him lift his eyes. Not hey, not you, not cleaner. Cal. A small thing, maybe, but in that lobby, small things revealed more than speeches. Vanessa turned, smile returning just enough to pass as professional. "Mrs. Bell, wonderful. After we finish this segment, I need both of you to reset the conference room. The board preview starts at noon, and I don't want cups, cords, or cleaning carts visible anywhere near donors." Mrs. Nora nodded. "Yes, ma'am." "Also," Vanessa added, lowering her voice, "please remind facilities that the front lobby is not a break area." Mrs. Nora's shoulders dipped, but only for a moment. Cal noticed. He also noticed the small black camera above the reception arch, the access panel beside the hallway door, and the schedule on Vanessa's tablet. Vivian Review Cut, 4 p.m. "Places," Vanessa called, bright again. "Remember, this company was built on dignity. We need that in every frame." The cameras rolled. Vanessa stepped beneath the banner and spoke with polished warmth. "At Blackwell Legacy Group, every employee matters. From our leadership teams to the people working behind the scenes, we believe respect is the foundation of service." Behind the column, Mrs. Nora lowered her eyes. Cal watched the monitor reflection in the glass. The frame was perfect. Marble, flowers, executives. No mop cart, no Nora Bell. A woman in a navy blazer entered from the east hallway. Leah Grant. Compliance, according to her badge. She paused when she saw Mrs. Nora standing behind the column, "Mrs. Bell?" Leah said. "Are you okay?" Mrs. Nora looked surprised to hear her full name from someone outside facilities. "I'm fine, Miss Grant. Just waiting until they're finished." Vanessa's eyes flicked toward Leah, then back to the camera. Her smile held, but one finger tapped against her tablet. A production assistant knocked a visitor badge off the reception counter. It slid near Cal's shoe. Cal picked it up and placed it carefully on the desk, face up. "Thank you," the receptionist whispered. Cal gave a slight nod. As he turned the cart, the B001 key tag swung into view again. Mrs. Nora saw it clearly this time. "Good," Vanessa said. "Much better without background clutter." Leah's face changed at the word clutter. She looked from Cal to Mrs. Nora, then up at the banner above them. She did not challenge Vanessa. Not yet. But she stepped beside Mrs. Nora and took the folded cloths from her arms. "I can carry these to the conference room," Leah said. Vanessa's expression tightened. "Leah, I'm sure compliance has better uses for your time." "So does facilities," Leah replied, polite enough to survive the sentence. For the first time that morning, Cal looked directly at her. Vanessa let the silence hang, then turned away as if kindness were a scheduling problem. "Fine. Conference room. 10 minutes. And please make it look like no one was ever in there." The conference room was all glass walls and expensive chairs. Half-empty coffee cups sat beside branded notepads. On the far end of the table, Tessa Monroe had one hand over a folder. Employee concerns. Cal saw the label before Tessa flipped it face down. Leah saw it too. "Is that for the complaint queue?" Leah asked. Tessa smiled too quickly. "Nothing urgent. Just clean up before the launch." Cal lowered his eyes to the cart and reached for a trash bag. He did not speak. He only looked once at the hidden folder, once at the camera in the corner, and once at the banner still visible through the glass. By then, Cal understood something new. The problem at his mother's company was not only that Vanessa Reed could not see a cleaner as a person. It was that someone was working very hard to make sure Vivian Blackwell could not see them either. Cal tied off a trash bag beside the glass wall, while Mrs. Nora gathered used cups from the table. The campaign had left behind cue cards about dignity, marked up speeches about respect, and unused branded napkins. Mrs. Nora moved slower than she tried to show. Now and then her hand touched the pocket where a small orange pill bottle pressed against the fabric. Cal noticed, but did not stare. "Let me get that side," he said. "I've been doing this longer than you've been alive, baby," Mrs. Nora said. "You just keep your eyes open. This floor teaches you things if you let it." "What kind of things?" "Who says thank you when nobody important is watching? Who leaves a mess because they believe someone else was born to clean it? Who remembers names?" Her eyes dropped to the brass tag at his keys. For a second, the cloth stopped moving. "You all right?" Cal asked. "That tag," she said softly. "Haven't seen one like that in years. Facilities gave it to me." "Facilities gives plastic now?" She looked at the worn letters again. B001. Then she shook her head. "Your people must have kept old things." Before Cal could answer, Tessa Monroe came in with a laptop and the employee concerns folder tucked under one arm. When she saw Cal looking, she pulled it closer. "You're still here?" Tessa asked. "Finishing the reset," Mrs. Nora said. "Then make sure nothing from this room gets mixed with trash. Some of this is pre-launch material." Cal picked up an empty cup. "The folder, too?" Tessa's eyes snapped to him. "That folder is not your concern." "Yes, ma'am." Leah Grant stepped in, holding a compliance binder and a phone that had just stopped vibrating. "Tessa," Leah said, "I sent 2 follow-ups about the employee complaint queue. The dashboard shows 12 unresolved items, but the launch folder has only 3. Tessa smiled too quickly. "The others were duplicates." "Duplicates from 3 departments?" Leah asked. "Cleaner, security, intern programs," Tessa said, as if the list explained why they mattered less. "Mostly noise. Scheduling, break areas, access routes, tone complaints. Nothing that should slow down a culture launch." Mrs. Nora's fingers tightened around the cloth. Cal kept wiping the table. He did not look at Tessa, but he listened to every word. "If they came through the official channel," Leah said, "they still need review notes." "They are minor," Tessa replied. "That's the point." Vanessa appeared before Leah could answer, her smile smooth and practiced. "Leah," Vanessa said, "still working through process details?" "That's part of compliance." "Of course, and it's exactly why Vivian notices you. You're thorough. I've been thinking you might be a strong fit for the executive track after the launch." Leah's face changed only a little, but Cal saw it. The offer mattered because it landed somewhere real. Her phone vibrated again. The screen lit before she turned it over. "Mom. Hospital billing called again. Don't worry during work. We'll figure it out." Leah slid the phone into her pocket. "A recommendation from this office would help," Vanessa said softly. "Especially for someone who understands when timing matters. Some issues are better handled after the cameras are gone." Leah closed the binder halfway. "Complaints don't stop being complaints because cameras are here." Vanessa's smile thinned. "No one is ignoring anyone. We're protecting the message until Vivian sees the launch as intended." Mrs. Nora bent to pick up a fallen marker. Her pill bottle slipped from her pocket and rolled under a chair. Tessa glanced at it, annoyed. "Please be careful. The board guests will use this room in 20 minutes. Before Mrs. Nora could kneel, Leah stepped forward and picked up the bottle. She handed it back with both hands. "Here you go, Mrs. Bell." Mrs. Nora took it as if it were something fragile. "Thank you, Miss Grant." Cal watched Leah then. She had done something small, without looking around to see who would reward her for it. Vanessa noticed too. "Leah," she said, her voice cooler now, "we should discuss priorities after this." Then she turned to Cal. "And you, take those document boxes to storage." "Which elevator should I use?" "The service route." Mrs. Nora said, "That route wraps around 2 floors. The guest elevator is right there, and the boxes are heavy." Vanessa replied, "Donors and board guests will be arriving through the main lobby. We don't need carts or uniforms crossing the shot." "It's not a shot anymore," Leah said. Vanessa turned slowly. "It is always a shot, Leah. That is what people like you need to understand if you want to move up." Cal lifted the first box before the argument could land on Leah harder. "Service route is fine." In the hallway, Denise from security stood beside the access doors. "That's a long way around," she murmured. "I was told to use it." "Last month, I let Mrs. Bell use the front elevator when her knee was acting up," Denise said. "Got written up for guest experience disruption. I'm sorry." Cal nodded. "You did what you could." As the door closed behind him, he saw Malik, a young intern in a too large blazer, near the copy room. Malik had a flash drive in one hand and Tessa's voice in his ear. "Don't remove it," Tessa whispered. "Move it out of the visible queue. I don't want it in the launch packet before town hall." Malik's face went pale when he saw Cal. Tessa turned, and the whisper ended. "You need something?" she asked. "Storage," Cal said. "Then keep moving." He did. but not before he saw the file name on Malik's laptop screen. Bell_Nora_complaint_review. By late afternoon, the conference room had been restored to its polished emptiness. Executives walked past the banner, smiling at their phones. No one saw the service hallway filling with the things the company did not want in frame. Cal returned for the last box just as Vanessa stopped Tessa near the door. "Clean up the complaint issue before town hall," Vanessa said under her breath. "Vivian cannot walk into a culture launch and see old grievances from facilities." Tessa opened the employee concerns folder. One name near the top had been crossed through in red: Nora Bell. Vanessa tapped the page once. Especially that one. Cal lowered his eyes before either woman looked over. Now he understood why the folder had been turned face down. The woman they treated as invisible had already tried to speak, and someone had already decided her voice was safer buried than heard. By the next morning, the town hall was close enough that the whole building seemed to breathe differently. Fresh banners hung from the balcony rails, while microphones were tested in the auditorium. Cal was not scheduled for the archive floor, but near lunch, Tessa sent him there anyway. "Extra hands," she said, without looking up from her laptop. "The corridor outside archive needs to be spotless before Vivian arrives. No streaks on the glass, no carts near the main hall." Mrs. Nora heard from the supply closet and frowned. "Archive corridor isn't on his route." "It is today," Tessa said. Cal took the mop cart without argument. The archive corridor was cold, lined with frosted glass and locked doors. Outside the records room, a table held visitor lanyards, a silver access card, stacked folders, and a printed sign: "Restricted materials. Authorized staff only." Cal wiped the lower glass panels, while Malik stood by the copy station, pale and restless. "You okay?" Cal asked quietly. "Just a lot going on before launch," Malik said. From inside the archive room, Tessa's voice came through in a sharp whisper. "Not that folder. The employee concerns one. Move it before the prep file gets uploaded." Malik looked at Cal, then looked away. A minute later, Tessa stepped out with a blue folder pressed against her side. Vanessa followed, still on a phone call. "No, Vivian doesn't need the raw cue before town hall," Vanessa said. "She needs confidence. We can handle internal noise after the campaign lands." Her eyes flicked to Cal. She ended the call. "Why are you standing there?" Vanessa asked. "Cleaning the glass." "Then clean. Don't hover near restricted materials." Cal lowered the cloth and stepped back from the table. Mrs. Nora came around the corner with replacement liners. She saw Vanessa, Tessa, Malik, and Cal, and her face changed. It was the look of someone who knew when a room was about to choose a scapegoat. "Cal," she said, "come help me with the liners when you finish that panel." "I'm almost done." Vanessa looked from Mrs. Nora to Cal. "Good. Then both of you can leave this floor." Tessa shifted the blue folder under her arm. Malik's eyes followed it. Cal saw that. He also saw the silver access card still lying on the table. Then the rehearsal bell rang downstairs. Vanessa walked away first. Tessa followed. Malik stayed behind, frozen beside the copier. 10 minutes later, the archive coordinator stepped out of the records room. "Where is the access card?" she asked. The hallway stopped. Tessa returned almost immediately. Vanessa came with her, already composed, already disappointed. "What happened?" Vanessa asked. "The archive access card is missing," the coordinator said. "So is the employee concerns folder that was supposed to be in the prep stack." Tessa looked at the table, then at Cal's cart. Vanessa's gaze followed hers. Cal set the cloth down, slowly. "The card was on the table when I stepped back." "You were the last person standing near it," Tessa said. No, Mrs. Nora said at once. He never left this cart. I was right there. Tessa barely looked at her. Mrs. Bell, with respect, you were handling liners around the corner. I saw him. What you saw, Vanessa said gently, may not be enough. Leah arrived with her compliance binder. She took in the corridor in one look. The missing cart, the cart, Mrs. Nora's tense hands, Malik's pale face, and Vanessa's calm. What is going on? Leah asked. A restricted access card and a complaint folder are missing, Vanessa said. Unfortunately, Cal was the last person near the materials. Leah looked at Cal. Did you touch either one? No. Then we should pull the corridor camera and the archive access log before anyone writes a report. Tessa's mouth tightened. We don't need to turn this into a full investigation. It's a simple incident. Restricted access material is not simple, Leah said, and neither is accusing an employee. Vanessa guided Leah aside. Leah, she said softly, I admire your caution. But Vivian will be here in less than 2 hours, and I need people around me who understand judgment, timing, and loyalty. Leah said nothing. Sign as witness, Vanessa continued. We'll recommend you for the executive track after town hall. You've earned it. Don't let one facility's mistake make you look difficult. Leah's phone vibrated in her pocket. She did not check it, but Cal remembered the hospital message from the day before. Tessa opened a laptop on the corridor table and turned the screen toward Leah. An incident report was already drafted. Temporary cleaner mishandled restricted access materials. Below that, a second line named Mrs. Nora Bell as supervising facilities employee on duty. Mrs. Nora read her name and stepped back. I have worked here 29 years, she said. I have never lost so much as a supply key. No one is questioning your years of service, Vanessa said, in the tone people use when they are already doing exactly that. But records matter. Cal looked at the report, then at Vanessa. Does company policy require checking access logs before assigning responsibility? He asked. Tessa gave a short laugh. You know company policy now? I'm asking. Vanessa turned fully toward him. Her polished patience cracked just enough for everyone to see what was underneath. A cleaner's word cannot outweigh a director's report. The sentence landed harder than shouting would have. Malik's eyes dropped to the floor. Mrs. Nora gripped the edge of the cart. Leah stared at the blank witness line on the screen. Then Leah reached for the pen Tessa had placed beside the laptop. Vanessa's smile returned. Thank you. Leah uncapped the pen, looked at the report, and set it down without signing. I won't witness something I haven't verified. Tessa's face flushed. If you refuse, the report goes into the town hall prep file as written. That is the process. No, Leah said. Process is evidence before blame. Vanessa's voice stayed quiet. Be careful, Leah. Careers are built on knowing when to support leadership. Leah closed the laptop halfway. Not enough to hide the report, only enough to stop Tessa from treating it as finished. Then leadership can wait for the log. She walked back toward the compliance office, with her binder held tight. Her hands trembled only after she turned the corner. At her desk, she opened a new internal request. Preserve corridor camera footage and archive access logs for today's restricted material incident. Do not overwrite. Compliance review pending. She added the time window, corridor camera number, and access card reader ID from the floor plan. Then she paused over the send button. A new message from her mother sat at the top of her phone. Hospital says final notice came today. I'm sorry, baby. Leah closed her eyes for one breath. Then she hit send. By choosing not to sign, Leah had not saved Cal yet, but she had saved the only thing Vanessa could not control once it existed: a record. By noon, the atrium of Blackwell Legacy Group had become a stage. Rows of employees filled the open floor beneath the glass ceiling. The banner behind the podium read, "Every employee matters." Board guests sat in front. Facilities workers, security officers, interns, and assistants stood along the sides, close enough to hear, far enough to understand where the company thought they belonged. Cal stood near the service corridor, with Mrs. Nora beside him. His cleaner's cart rested against the wall. The old B001 key tag hung from his belt, dull under the camera lights. Leah stood 3 rows back with her compliance binder pressed to her chest. "Today," she began, smiling toward the cameras, "Blackwell Legacy Group renews a promise. We are not just a company of contracts and numbers. We are a company of people. Every role matters. Every voice matters. Every employee deserves dignity." Applause moved through the atrium. Cal did not clap. He watched Tessa standing beside the media table, with one hand on a folder marked Incident Summary. Vanessa's voice softened. "And dignity also means standards. When trust is broken, leadership must act." Tessa opened the folder. Leah stepped into the aisle before Vanessa could read another line. "That report should not be presented as fact." Heads turned. Tessa froze. Vanessa kept her smile, but it no longer reached her eyes. "Leah, this is not the time." "It became the time when an unsigned report was brought onto a public stage," Leah said. "I requested preservation of the corridor footage and access logs. We should review evidence before assigning blame." Vanessa gave a patient little breath. "Leah is very committed to process. We appreciate that, but leadership cannot be paralyzed by every objection." "Process is not an objection," Leah said. "It is how innocent people keep their names." Near the wall, Denise looked at Leah as if someone had opened a door she had stopped expecting. Then Mrs. Nora moved closer to Cal, her eyes fixed on the old key tag. "Where did you get that?" she asked. Cal looked down. Mrs. Nora pointed at the tag, not accusing him, only remembering. "I saw that when this company was 2 rented rooms over on Auburn Avenue. Mr. Blackwell carried it on his first keyring. He said B001 meant the first door should open for everybody." Vanessa's smile faltered. "That is a charming memory, but it has nothing to do with a missing access card. It has everything to do with what this company has forgotten." The voice came from the front row. Samuel Price stood beside Vivian Blackwell. He stepped toward the stage, silver hair neat, dark suit plain. "That is the original founder access tag," Samuel said. "B001. It belonged to Daniel Blackwell." Vanessa looked toward Vivian. "Mrs. Blackwell, I can explain." "Not yet," Vivian said. 2 words. No anger, no performance. Enough to stop the room. Leah opened her binder. "Before anyone explains status," she said, "the incident needs to be corrected first." She handed a page to Samuel, then another to Vivian. "The archive log does not show Cal entering the room. It shows Tessa's admin card at the key moment. And the camera shows the folder still on the table after Cal had stepped away." Tessa's face lost color. "That log is incomplete." Leah turned 1 page. "The footage is not." Samuel nodded to the media technician. The screen behind Vanessa changed from the campaign logo to a paused security clip. No one needed technical explanation. The image was enough. Tessa crossed the corridor alone, lifted the folder, hid it under launch materials, and carried it away. Tessa whispered, "Vanessa, Vanessa cut her off. "This is being taken out of context." Malik stepped forward from the intern row. His badge shook against his shirt. "It isn't," he said. Tessa turned on him. "Malik!" He swallowed, but stayed where he was. "I was told to move complaint files out of the visible queue until after launch. I was scared, so I wrote down where the original folder was listed." Denise came next, one hand on the radio at her belt. "Security was told to keep facility staff out of the lobby whenever donors, board guests, or cameras were present," she said. "I was written up for letting Mrs. Bell use the main elevator when her knee was hurting." Nora closed her eyes. Vanessa's polished voice sharpened. "This is a coordinated attempt to embarrass the company during a public event." "No," Leah said. "It is the company hearing people it trained itself to ignore." Then the stage mic audio played. Vanessa's own voice filled the atrium, low and impatient. "Bury the cleaner complaints until after the campaign launch. Vivian does not need noise before town hall." The clip ended. No one spoke over it. Vanessa turned to Vivian. "I meant delay review, not bury. You know how launch pressure works." "I was protecting the brand." Vivian walked up the stage steps. "My brand," she said, "was never supposed to need protection from the truth." She faced the atrium, then turned to Cal. "For those who have been asked to judge a man by his uniform," Vivian said, "his name is not Cal. He is Caleb Blackwell, my son." The words moved through the room like a door opening. Tessa stared at him. Vanessa's mouth parted, but no defense came out. Caleb stepped forward, without removing the cleaner's jacket. "I came into my mother's company as a temporary cleaner because complaints from the lowest paid teams were not reaching the people with power," he said. "But Leah Grant did not know my last name when she refused to sign a false report. Mrs. Nora did not know my title when she defended my word. Malik and Denise had more to lose than gain when they spoke today." He turned toward Vanessa. "You were wrong about one thing most of all. A cleaner's word should never have to outweigh a director's report. A director's report should be honest enough not to crush a cleaner's word in the first place." Vivian faced Vanessa and Tessa. "Vanessa Reed, Tessa Monroe, you are both suspended pending an independent investigation. All complaint files touched by this campaign team will be reopened." A few people inhaled sharply, but Caleb lifted one hand, keeping the room from turning the moment into a spectacle. "This is not finished because two people are suspended," he said. "If the system made it easy to hide Nora's name, Malik's fear, Denise's record, and Leah's objection, then the system is part of the problem." He looked back at the banner. "Every employee matters." For the first time that day, the words sounded less like marketing and more like a debt. Caleb turned to his mother. "We do not need a cleaner apology for the cameras," he said. "We need every complaint that was buried brought back into the light." Vivian did not let the town hall become a public punishment. After the cameras were turned off and the board guests were escorted upstairs, she asked for a smaller meeting behind the atrium. Not just executives. Leah, Mrs. Nora, Malik, Denise, 2 night shift cleaners, a mailroom assistant, and a quiet security supervisor were invited. Vanessa did not sit at the table. She had been sent home with a suspension letter and instructions not to contact witnesses. Tessa sat at the far end, pale and silent, beside Samuel Price, her complaint system access already removed. No one clapped. No one celebrated. Caleb did not want people cheering because 2 women had fallen. He wanted a room honest enough to ask why it had been easy to make others invisible. Vivian stood at the head of the table. For once, there was no prepared speech in front of her. "I built a company where people felt afraid to tell me the truth," she said. "That is not only Vanessa's failure. That is mine." Mrs. Nora looked down at her hands. Vivian turned to her. "Mrs. Bell, I owe you an apology. But an apology is not enough. I need to ask you something I should have asked years ago. What does your team need to work safely and be treated with dignity?" For a moment, Mrs. Nora seemed unsure the question was real. Then she lifted her chin. "We need the service elevator fixed," she said. "We need somewhere clean to eat. We need schedules that don't punish people for doctor visits. And when we file a complaint, we need to know it won't disappear because somebody important finds it inconvenient." No one interrupted her. A legal assistant wrote every word down. Denise spoke next. Her write-up for allowing Mrs. Nora to use the main elevator would be reviewed. Malik would not be disciplined for speaking up, and he would be moved away from Tessa's chain of command during the audit. Leah listened more than she spoke. Her phone buzzed once with another hospital billing reminder, but she placed it face down and stayed with the people in the room. When the meeting ended, Caleb waited near the glass wall. "You risked a lot today," he told her. Leah gave a tired little smile. "I was not trying to impress a Blackwell." "I know," Caleb said. "That is why it mattered." She looked at him then, not as a cleaner, not as an heir, but as a man who had hidden the truth long enough to learn one. "You also risked other people's jobs to run your test," she said quietly, "even if your reason was good." Caleb accepted that without defense. "You're right," he said. "I owe people more than a reveal." For the first time since he had put on the gray uniform, the disguise felt heavier than the truth. He had wanted to expose a broken system, but Leah was right. His silence had placed good people inside the test with him. If he wanted to lead, he could not only uncover harm after it happened, he had to build a company where people did not need a billionaire in disguise before anyone believed them. So he started there. In the weeks that followed, Blackwell Legacy Group reopened every complaint tied to the launch. An independent hotline was created outside HR. Retaliation protection was written in plain language. The facility's break room was renovated before any new executive lounge because Vivian said the order mattered. Tessa cooperated with the audit. Vanessa's future at the company would be decided after the investigation, not by gossip in the atrium. Caleb insisted on that. Accountability, he said, was not the same as humiliation. Leah was asked to help lead the compliance review, not because Caleb favored her, but because she had done the job when it cost her something. Vivian also added medical leave policy to the review, including the family pressure employees like Leah carried in silence. A few months later, the operations break room looked nothing like the place where Mrs. Nora had once eaten beside a cold paper cup. Sunlight came through a repaired window. The table was sturdy and clean. There was a small medicine cabinet on the wall, a working refrigerator, and a board with employee names instead of anonymous schedules. Mrs. Nora sat at the table with Leah, sharing a lunch she had packed in a blue container. Malik stopped by with coffee. Denise leaned against the doorway and joked that the main elevator was getting more use from facilities now than from executives. Nobody from PR was there with a camera. That was what made it feel true. Downstairs, in the main lobby, Caleb stood with Vivian in front of a new glass case. Inside it rested the old brass B001 key tag. It had been polished, but not too much. Caleb wanted the scratches to remain. Beneath it, a simple line had been engraved. No employee is invisible. Vivian touched the edge of the glass. "Your father would have liked this," she said. "He would have asked why it took us so long," Caleb answered. She nodded, because that was also true. Leah and Mrs. Nora came out of the elevator together. This time, no one moved them out of the frame. No one asked them to stand aside until important people passed. Employees crossing the lobby slowed, read the words beneath the key tag, and kept walking with more awareness than before. Caleb met Leah near the case. There was no proposal, no grand promise, no reward handed to her for being good. Only respect, earned slowly. Only a beginning. Mrs. Nora looked at the key tag, then at Caleb. "Your father used to say a company shows its soul by which doors it opens," she said. Caleb glanced toward the lobby doors, where a cleaner pushed a cart through the center of the building without lowering his eyes. "Then we keep them open," he said. And for the first time, the people Blackwell Legacy Group had kept at the edge of the picture stood in the middle of it. If this story touched your heart, tell us in the comments where you are watching from. And if you believe every person deserves dignity, no matter how they look, like this video, subscribe, and share this story with someone who needs the reminder. This is an original fictional story created for entertainment and moral reflection. Any resemblance to real people, companies, institutions, or events is purely coincidental.